Hello everybody, Mike Johnson, Realtor and Appraiser, coming from Mill Creek today. I want to talk about solar panels, and this is a tricky subject. A lot of the solar panel sellers are probably not going to be happy with me after this. I want to start off by saying I like solar panels, right? I don't have them on my house. I have thought about it. I could see having them someday, right? I like the idea of them. I like the idea of having a smaller, footprint and of using that for electricity. But I want to talk about it in terms of how it's going to affect you selling your house or the value of your house. That is where it can get a little tricky sometimes. For starters, a little known fact is, as an appraiser, if I'm appraising your house and you have solar panels, you only get credit for those. Like, I can only add value to the house if they are owned outright, completely. So no lease, no payments. They are completely owned by you. Otherwise, I do not even include them in the appraisal, right? I note that they're on the roof, but the banks do not want us adding any value for that unless they're completely owned. Second, seeing advertisements for solar panels, they talk about how they pay for themselves, which they may in terms of, lowering your electricity bill. But as far as adding value to your house, I'm going to say that it's my opinion, right? But as appraising lots of properties with solar panels, I've never had the value of a house go up more than the cost of the solar panels by far. That's not to say don't get them. A lot of people get them, and I understand why they get them. But I would not do it in terms of, adding extra value to your house. Lots of times they don't necessarily add any value. It depends on the neighborhood. It's all going to be different. If you're in a neighborhood that has a lot of solar panels already, then you're going to see a bigger return on that. It's similar with in-ground pools, right? If you're in a neighborhood that, you see a lot of people with in-ground pools, then you're going to get a bigger bang for your buck for that. But, if you're the only person with solar panels, a lot of times that just says that people in that area maybe are just not too big into solar panels. Also, I want to bring this up because this actually, this happened to one of my sellers one time. Is they got solar panels, right? And they got them like just a couple of years before they put the house on the market, and they owed, like $30,000 on them still. Their thought was, okay, I'm going to put my house on the market and I'm just going to sell it for $30,000 more. That's where you run into problems. One, it's not going to appraise that way because those solar panels can't be a part of the valuation. And two, the solar panels are not going to bring up the value of your house that much. So it got them in kind of a tough bind where either the potential buyers had to, because they couldn't just take over the loan and just take over the payments, they had to get a separate loan to pay for those solar panels. So one, that's an extra hoop that some people don't want to jump through. Or, the second option, is which they ended up having to do, is they sold the property, and then part of the deal was that the funds from selling it had to go towards completely paying off those solar panels. And, unfortunately, they took, a little bit of a hit with that. So something to think about if you're thinking about solar panels. Get them, love them, that's great. Pay for them outright, unless you're planning on staying there for a while, in which case, get them, enjoy them. Thanks.